Hello, everyone. This is Kris Fleming with KFP Investors and your Lender Chat podcast. We are getting started today with a very special guest that I will tell you about in just a moment. But first, our disclaimer. KFP Investors LLC does not give legal, tax, economic, or investment advice. KFP Investors LLC disclaims all liability for the action or inaction taken or not taken as a result of communications from or to its employees, contractors, clients, prospective clients, or participants. Each person should consult their own counsel, accountant, and other advisors as to legal, tax, economic, investment, and related matters concerning real estate and other investments. So there we go. And I am here today with Mr. Jonathan Hawks, and he has a very interesting story as well as a very interesting business. Jonathan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to speak with you today and talk to everybody here. My name is Jonathan Hawks. I started out in real estate, I guess about 7 years ago now. But I wasn't always in real estate. I was actually a chef. um, I was an executive chef and went to culinary school and worked in a lot of kitchens in well, everywhere really, but right before I moved to Nashville for an executive chef position, I was in Charleston, South Carolina, and I you know spent my whole career in kitchens and um, decided one day that the the hours that it commanded, and just the end game that I couldn't really see,
Mhm.
decided uh, I made the decision to pivot, um, and now I'm in real estate and have been, and now I'm particularly on the development side. Um, and now I have a real estate investment firm that I'm the principal broker of, and we've got 7 agents and continuing to grow, and we've got almost $300 million in the pipeline for all of our developments over the next 3 years. So
Wow, that's amazing.
it's been kind of an interesting ride. So yeah, I'm happy to discuss it further, but so far so good.
When we talked previously, one of the things that you said that really struck me was you love being a chef, you love the restaurant industry, you love food prep and design, and the more you advanced in that field, the farther away you got from the parts of it that you love. And I thought, isn't that true for so many fields, that it
Right.
becomes so much more about people management instead of doing the part that you really enjoy?
Yeah.
So, well,
Yeah.
I'm
It
very
was.
pleased.
That's what got me into. I loved the kitchen. I loved to cook, and I loved being a chef. And just the further I got in my career, the less it was about that. It was managing
Mhm.
people. It just at one point I kind of looked at it as what really got me into the industry, and what I wanted to do with it was so far away from my day to day that I needed to make a change. And I'm still in the kitchen every day,
Mhm.
just on my own terms now at my
Right,
house
right, right,
for my
right,
family. So
right, right.
yeah.
And what kind of effect has that had on your family and your um, ability to spend time with them, your career change? How has
Huge.
that been impacted?
Yeah. So real estate, and I can. My thought was when I made the decision, I scared my wife half to death when I called her. I told her after. so many years in the kitchen and being a chef. I was hanging it up. I was gonna quit, and I was going
Uh,
to become a real estate investor. And she freaked out. and, and that was shortly after we moved to Nashville. I had just had my daughter. It was new town, new job, new everything.
mm,
And I some of the same challenges I had in Charleston, South Carolina, I had here in Nashville, and
mm,
I just made the assumption that it wasn't, no matter the position and the location, there's gonna be some similar challenges. And I was already going through the motions of not seeing my daughter. I'd
mm,
go to work while she was sleeping. I'd come home while she was sleeping. I was just working crazy hours, and
mm,
it wasn't an easy transition. I'm not gonna lie. It was terrifying. Just completely going just moving from a sort of a W-2 style salary position to, you know you only you only eat what you kill kind of thing, commission based, and kind of 1099 contractor style. It was a huge change. I'd never done it
yeah,
before. I'd never I had a lot of challenges with that, but uh I always knew that if I put the same amount of effort and energy into, that I was putting into being a chef and working in the kitchen, if I put that into anything, I was going to be successful. And I
hmm,
firmly believe that if you do the work, if you put your head down and stay focused, something's going to happen, right? Something,
yes,
and more often than not, it's going to be in the direction of your desired outcome, right? You're
yeah,
going to keep working at it. So, but allowing with jumping into real estate, and after kind of getting my bearings and what I wanted to do with it, it opened up so many doors, and to be able to spend time with my family now is, yeah, now I have another kid, so I've got two of them, and I
yay,
spend so much time with them, my wife, and it's allowed me to really focus on what's important. And
yeah.
um, I think that if you can figure out what kind of balance works for you, I think this industry will provide you plenty of opportunities to dictate how that works for you.
What you just said, just it resonates to my bones. One of the things that I tell friends who are in, the corporate world or W-2 roles or the like is that I built KFP Investors so that I could integrate my life with my work rather than having to build my life around my work. And that's what we do with all of our team members as well. We all work remotely. And the idea is as long as the work is done in a timely fashion, I don't care when you do it, where you do it, how you do it. I mean, obviously within ethical and regulatory guidelines, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, I've worked on a cruise ship, I've worked from an airplane, I've worked
Right.
from I don't even know how many different states. So I was telling some friends last night that I enjoy what I do so much that my husband often takes me camping because there's no signal out there. And and he
Yeah.
can make me stop.
Cut you off. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. But so certainly that, but yeah, definitely the fear of, wow, can I do this? Moving from a reliable, steady income to eat what you kill.
Hmm.
And I came to a similar conclusion that you might find folks who are smarter than I am, or more experienced than I am, or more clever than I am, but you'll never find anyone to outwork me.
Hmm.
So, and I think that's a common thread among folks in this industry, and I love that.
Yeah. And I think that there's so many different ways to get into real estate. And, it's almost a blessing and a curse when you're
Hmm.
starting out, because there's so many things to focus. I fell victim to this right away. Is that when I take on any kind of new endeavor, I want to learn and gather as much data and research. And there's so many niches of this market that claim to be the best, and there's a ton of information now available to go down the rabbit hole with any one of these
Yes.
strategies. And uh, that was kind of a challenge for me too right away. Was I wanted to learn everything, right? So I wanted
Hmm.
like 10 years of real estate knowledge like crammed into like 6 months to a year. I just wanted to
Yes.
do everything and structure these crazy deals. And it wasn't wasted time by any means, but I found that learning maybe at a slower pace, or learning things, how to execute something
Hmm.
really well before you try to move on to something else is possibly a better route to go. But I mean, gosh, I was like just consuming, drinking from a fire hose,
Yes.
real estate information. So
Yes.
maybe that's why I went down the trajectory that I did. I first became an agent, and I hated it. It was it was much like managing people in the kitchen. I'm managing emotions, and
Hmm.
when I say an agent, like buyer representation,
Hmm.
going around trying to find people their dream house. And I'm
Hmm.
just not that guy. I can do it, right? I can
Hmm.
if I have to, but I gravitate towards numbers and systems and
Hmm.
processes, and I was really good at that in the kitchen. And um, that coupled with, like, I had some rental properties in Charleston, and sort of had that side hustle going on. It put me in more of a commercial real estate position, and
Okay.
specifically, investors. I loved working with
Hmm.
investors. I can speak
I do
numbers,
too.
and yeah,
Yeah.
that just makes sense to me. Looking
Hmm.
at investments, there's very little emotion in it. There
Yes.
can be, but it's boiled out to where if the deal makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't
Right.
work for you, then move on. That's
Right.
it. There's no and it's not always black and white like that, but you understand what I'm saying. It's
Absolutely. Yeah. At the end of the
so
day, it doesn't matter how hard you want it. It if it doesn't pencil, it doesn't pencil.
That's right. And that was another
Mhm.
thing that I think that I had challenges with, early on, was trying to fit square pegs in round holes. And
Mhm.
like, no,
Mhm.
I've been working so hard on this deal and I really want it to work. Guess what? It just doesn't work,
Right. Right.
not at the current terms or what have you. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, and I moved into from real estate investment sales to development. I'd flipped houses, and had some success in sort of these different investment strategies. But like, Nashville was becoming difficult to make flips work.
Mhm.
Especially like in the urban core, in Davidson County. And it just, I started working with my now business partner. Just instead of flipping houses, it was more feasible economically to tear down and build one or build two, or whatever. So got into
Yes.
to that small scale development, just single family homes, and sort of morphed into a site selection for builders, role. I'm very data driven, and I really liked the different layers that you could kind of look at in order to see sites that weren't in their highest and best. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a fancy way of saying I like finding distressed properties, or I like finding properties that can be rezoned, or whatever the value add that you can do. But at the end of the day, you're looking for highest and best for a property
Mm-hmm.
that is potentially not in its current highest, in its current position. Um, so we started looking more at multifamily, townhome projects, and eventually, even stacked flat, like mixed use projects. And a lot of them are geared towards short-term rental eligibility.
Okay.
The the investors that we have been working with really, can capture a premium for STR eligibility, on these
Mm-hmm.
units. So that was
Sure.
sort of the icing on the cake with a lot of these. We would make sure the deal penciled as a traditional multifamily, or
Mm-hmm.
just a traditional development, but always looked for that STR eligibility premium as sort of the bonus. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so that's kind of where we are at today. Still firing down on new projects, and yeah, always looking for more stuff. So
I love that. So, for clarification, for folks who might have not been in the industry quite as long as we have, um, could you share with us maybe a paragraph or two in a 30,000-foot overview of what exactly you do?
yeah, absolutely. So with real estate development, it's largely driven by um, you know the municipalities master plans of development, their neighborhood character manuals and things like that. And so uh, what I do, I work with several developers and builders directly, and uh, I focus primarily on trying to find the sites, and assemble the right team members to
Mm-hmm.
get the deal done. So I will spend the majority of my day prospecting and looking
Mm-hmm.
for new projects. And as they get to a certain level, I'll incorporate other team members, and we try to find the right investors for the projects, and the
Mm-hmm.
right contractor. And so, uh, and I think a lot of that comes from m- me building kitchens, as my
Mm-hmm.
chef career. It was, you know, in a leadership position, we're trying to find, who needs to go where and how to
Mm-hmm.
maximize this system. I sort of look at real estate deals in the same manner. What kind of pieces do we need to put this puzzle together? How many turns of the Rubik's cube do I need to do in order to get this thing solved? Like that's what I spend a lot of time prospecting and procuring what I think are feasible projects,
Uh-huh.
and then trying to find the right
Mhm.
people to get those projects to fruition.
I love that analogy of how many turns of the Rubik's Cube. It definitely does feel that way sometimes. That's
Yeah.
I can picture that so clearly, and I'm not gonna lie to you, when I was a kid and those were really popular, I took the stickers off and rearranged them. So, uh, that
That's
is
one way to do it.
I'm a problem solver. I don't necessarily do it in the traditional fashion, but it works. Uh, I love that though. That's great. And so you must be really good at what you do, because more than once it has occurred that you have emailed me about a potential investment opportunity. And by the time I got around to asking questions, you had filled it.
Yeah, I know we're gonna work on some stuff here soon. I'm always looking to bring on new investors, and I think, in a lot of stuff has changed, right, in the last, 8 to 10 months with the market, and people were shying away from getting into new developments for a little bit. As things kind of
Hmm.
stabilize, I have some of my investors coming back in saying, okay, I
Hmm.
feel a little bit better about starting something new now. Because for a minute there, it was like, let's just kind of pause, just like everybody else. Let's just
Right,
see where this is going. Um,
right.
but when we hit that period, we started looking at value add situations with already existing assets, like multifamily in particular, right? So
Hmm.
if it pencils as a multifamily, but maybe it's on a lot where you can subdivide it, right? Or
Hmm.
it's the zoning allows actually the ability to build more units. So it wasn't full on ground up development. There was always already something there that if it was a situation where you maybe didn't want to do the development piece of it right
Hmm.
away, you still had a cash flowing asset that you could rely on, and the deal still worked that way.
So
Um,
smart.
yeah, so you always got to have a couple different disposition strategies, and um, so we started focusing more on those types of opportunities, and I think we're somewhere back in the middle now where people are ready to fire down on new projects from the ground up.
Hmm.
There's just still so much capital coming to Nashville. It's
Yes.
kind of mind-boggling. I mean, there's cranes everywhere. There's just
Yes, I was telling a friend who lives out of state and had passed through. I said, "Yeah, we changed our state bird to the crane."
I mean, it's crazy. And
Yeah.
there's people, there's very smart groups of people sitting around a big conference table talking about investing tens of millions of dollars in a project in Nashville. And, when those individuals are still saying, yeah, I'm in it, I still, I just see so much runway.
Hmm.
I still think that, and this is barring any kind of catastrophic market
Of course.
condition, like,
Yes.
there's always stuff that is sort of looming in the background. But as a whole, I think Nashville is still in a very, very strong position.
Hmm.
Uh, and I just keep seeing proof of that daily with
Hmm.
new projects, new you read, stuff like that, and you can get caught up in it. And by no
Hmm.
means should you not pay attention to it, right?
Okay, you were telling us about doom and gloom.
Yeah, and I was saying, making the point that there's a lot of information that can get you scared about
Mm.
real estate right now. And while some of it I think is vindicated and you should pay attention to some macroeconomics, it I still feel that it's a good time to
One
invest.
one of my favorite statements that I heard recently, and I apologize, I can't remember who said it, but the statement was, "Time in the market is more important than timing the market." And that's
So
one of
true.
the beautiful things about real estate is if you just wait uh, for once you're in the market, and if the conditions for your exit are not favorable, just wait. They will be in a minute. Just hang
Right,
on. Um, but if you never get in because you're waiting, how do you ever know that it's good enough? I mean,
right,
what are your markers for good enough? So, and I think for so many people, we work with a lot of brand new investors. And I think for so many people, just taking that step to enter the market on that first or second or even third property is the most terrifying part.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
I would love to speak on that because I think that's also so true. It's kind of like the time to plant a tree, and
right.
the answer is 30 years ago, but then the second best answer is today, right? Like
Right.
it's you gotta jump in, and it's
Hmm.
terrifying, to new investors and new real estate agents and the like. It's terrifying.
Hmm.
But guess what? You'll make it through.
Right.
I mean, be smart about it. Learn from your mistakes. You're gonna make a lot of mistakes, and uh, just keep doing the work, and it's gonna
Right.
pay off. And I think that is a very, the term analysis paralysis is a very, very real thing. Um,
Yes.
because here's the thing, like you're gonna analyze 100 deals, and only two or three of them are going to make sense, right? So
Yes.
you need to get very good at analyzing deals.
Right.
But you can also get stuck there. You can get stuck there, and it's almost like you're looking for that home run. You don't have to hit a home run every time, right? Like
Right.
you got to hit base hits, right? You got to hit doubles. Like you the only way to do that is to just jump in and
Yes.
create some rules for yourself, some numbers to go by, and if the deal works, then jump in. If it
Yes.
doesn't, move on, and
Yes.
you got to go. So I I
Yes.
I love that.
I completely agree with everything that you just said. That's fantastic. Um, so for folks who, and I think you're right, I think there are so many different ways to get involved in investing in real estate, that can be a barrier as well. Just figuring out, what do I want to do? I know I've chosen real estate, but how do I want to do it? And so you allow investors to have a lucrative but more passive role for for folks who want to allow the professionals to make the decisions, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we look at every deal and every project as you can be as passive or as active as you want.
Hmm.
Um, Typically, the more passive approach is best, only because it's kind of like I keep using chef's analogies, but too many
That's
cooks in the
okay.
kitchen, right? Yeah, like
Yes.
it's the thing. If you've got so many layers to get through just on like day-to-day stuff, it's
Hmm.
difficult. But if you've got clear cut objectives and data, and here's what we're going to do, here's how we're going to do it, more often than not, it's easy for people, if they're not in that passive position right away, they can feel comfortable getting into it, right? And that's
Hmm.
that's that's the best feeling for us, is that
Hmm.
make sure your project is going to the level of your expectations, and um, we're confident. We've created that confidence
Hmm.
in you. And but there's some people that like to be in the day to day and like to
Sure.
be in the middle of it, and that's okay too. That I mean,
Hmm.
every project is different, and oftentimes we won't even be in the development side, or in an equity side, where we just broker.
Yeah.
If it's another developer and they just want assistance with finding the right site for them to develop, we just broker it off. Here's the site, and we'd be happy to help you any way we can. Maybe help you on the disposition if you're going to build units to sell, or if you're going to build them to lease up, whatever the case may be. So we try to wear whatever hat we need to. Um,
I love
And
that
to that point,
creativity, flexibility, identify the problem and figure out how to solve it together. I really love that.
right. And so that's kind of how the brokerage came about. We started a
Mhm,
development company. The development arm came first, and then we looked at it as we were building these units and we had these projects, and so we just needed a real estate brokerage to operate out of.
mhm,
So the real estate brokerage came about, um, and we're working on, we're building a lot of short-term rentals, and we've referred out short-term rental management, property management to a lot of folks, and realize that that's another resource we can provide to
mhm,
investors,
mhm.
is property management. So we're looking at bringing property management in-house.
Okay.
Um, Things like that. It's just these are all, this is kind of vertical integration, right? These all complement each other, and we're looking to be that sort of one-stop shop. Um,
Mhm,
if somebody says, I'm looking for this type of project or this type of property,
mhm,
we want to be able to do everything from start to
mhm,
finish and
mhm,
handle that. And so that's what we're building. And a lot of it, so the real estate companies are all under the AiCRE branding, and AiCRE is spelled AiCRE. Um, and there's a little bit of backstory with that. So uh, when I first started, there was the manual process of looking at these different land use policies and these different data sets, and kind of it's just laborious to kind of integrate and normalize all these different data sets, and kind of look at properties not so much from like physically looking at them, but looking at all of their kind of flat file formats, their
mhm,
zoning and their different characteristics. And so anyways, we I was fortunate enough to partner with a software developer, and he is one of the founding members of the brokerage. We created a software. He basically put a lot of technology behind the very manual process that I was doing, and
mhm,
it evolved into a tool that we at one point had aspirations to maybe make it like a subscription model. And we still currently just use it internally. It kind of gives us
mhm,
an edge on finding these properties and things. But um, AiCRE came about from the AI is indicative of like the technology side, and CRE is commercial real estate. So that's how kind of AiCRE came about. But the software that we're developing, there's some public facing formats of it on our website, um,
mhm,
that people can use for free. There's no charge to it. But um, again, it's largely based on short-term rental
mhm,
properties, because there was a period of time where Davidson County was sort of trying to figure out how to manage these things, and where can you build new ones. And there was new ordinances, new legislation coming about, sort of down the pipe, as we were actively contracting sites. So again, applying the technology behind it, our team was writing code to tease out, the data that, in the manner that these ordinances were coming out. So these distance requirements and these different zonings and things like that, we were like writing computer code to make these different ordinances basically just a click of a button, right? So you can click a switch, and so that's kind of how
Unbelievable.
yeah, it's really evolved into something that's amazing, and we're super proud of it. And it's largely what has made us successful in finding a lot of these projects is it's just this process and putting technology behind it, um, to make it almost autonomous at this point. It's really, really cool. So we're excited about that.
I am so, my mind immediately goes to, wow, how much time have you saved to be so much more incredibly efficient at what you
Yeah.
do? Um, I'm uh I'm a little jealous. I'm gonna have to figure out what kind of software I need to make me more efficient. Um, well, one of my favorite things to ask folks is, if you could give your younger self three pieces of advice, what would they be?
Okay. I think, I think we touched on at least one of them, and that was the whole just get started, just jump in. You're gonna be scared. Anything that you try to get into that you don't know or um, don't feel like you're ready for,
Hmm.
you just gotta take that step. And
Yeah.
good things happen when you're uncomfortable, and
Oh, what a great statement.
it doesn't feel like it in the immediate, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But good things happen, good changes happen, and you got to make yourself uncomfortable, because every deal that you underwrite, every mistake that you make is building confidence, is building
Hmm.
experience. And
Hmm.
there is, you know, if you've got if you stay focused, there's no wasted time, right? I mean,
Hmm.
so I think getting started I now is
Hmm.
what I would say. Um, no time like the present. Um, I think another thing is don't try to follow every shiny new thing that comes along. There's plenty of real estate people out there that'll tell you, this is the best way to do this, or you should look at this kind of strategy, or
Hmm.
there's so much to learn. There's so much to
Hmm.
learn, and you know it's good to learn different strategies. Absolutely, it's
Hmm.
good to have a lot of tools in your toolkit,
Hmm.
but you're not going to know how to use them all right away. You can
Right.
have all these tools, and like it doesn't do you any good if
Yeah.
you don't really know how to effectively use them. And not every deal, is a wholesale. Not every deal is
Yeah.
a seller finance. I mean, these round pegs in the square holes kind of thing.
Hmm.
There's there's different strategies and different ways that you can structure a deal,
Hmm.
and you don't have to, um, you know, try to apply the thing you just learned about yesterday or last week.
Hmm.
You don't have to
Hmm.
force it. Um,
Hmm.
so maybe that's another one, is not, don't go follow the shiny new object every week and try to master it right away.
Yeah.
And I think the third thing would probably be just stay focused. Don't You're gonna get discouraged.
Yeah.
You're gonna have 100. You're gonna have 1,000 deals,
Mhm.
not work, and you're gonna, especially with development deals, you're gonna go through very long, contractual periods, and then it'll fall apart. you know, and guess what? It happens. There's
Yeah.
development. It can be very lucrative. It can be great. It almost feels like with development, every deal is a home run, because it can be. It can be very, very successful, but it can also be very, very difficult and long. And it's important to kind of diversify and, um, not have a bunch of home runs in your pipeline. Like I said, you got to have some singles and doubles, but um, you do have to stay focused. Like,
Mhm.
what I mean by that is I started doing development and really didn't look back. I've looked at other areas and I feel like I've grown in other areas, but I really love the development piece to it.
Mm,
I know I think I'm good at it.
mm,
And so if you stay focused, you're gonna have these ups and downs and challenges, but just keep your head down, keep doing the work. It's gonna pay off.
mhm, mhm. I love it. I love it. Thank you. And what kind of resources are you currently looking for at this time? How can I and KFP investors and our network assist you?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep sending you deals, and I'm always looking for uh, new investors and
Uh-huh.
new projects, and I do have um, some passion projects that everybody talks and wants to do affordable housing, and it's always been a thing for me too. And I always felt like it was sort of outside my wheelhouse. It's a very different um, animal, as
Mhm.
when put up against what we're currently building in our current project pipeline. But it's really not. There's a lot of methods and resources out there to do those kind of projects. And
Uh-huh.
so what I'm finding lately is myself more on the political side, which I never thought. I'm like a chef who belongs in the back of the house. I got tattoos and I'm a little rough around the edges. And now I'm going to council meetings and talking with city officials and things like that. And it's because, with development, it can be very political. And you have to do these things to get some
Yeah.
projects done. But it also, like the passion piece of it and building stuff that actually, creates, passive income for investors, but also is
Mhm.
like largely beneficial for the community that you're building in and
Yes.
things like
Mhm.
that. That's a win-win, right? And
Yeah.
there's a lot of times it's those types of those projects are done by out of state multifamily apartment builders and things like that. People that have been able to execute this in other metro areas, but I really want to do it on a local level and get
Mhm.
involved. Um, and so I'm looking for uh, investors who also align with those types of with that type of vision. And we're
Uh-huh.
always going to be doing just more urban core, like urban infill, Nashville
Mhm.
projects. So stacked flats and condos, mixed use, and townhome development. But I personally am moving into other areas of the development piece, like subdivisions and things like that. Stuff that's a little bit more in suburban settings.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I think that you know and I just like talking about deals with you because I mean,
Uh,
you're so creative too. The way that you structure things and look at things, it's always refreshing just to throw a deal over to you and chat with you about it. Um,
Oh,
so
well,
thank you
thank
for
you.
that too.
I enjoy it too. It's the figuring out the Rubik's cube, and if all else fails, take off the stickers.
You're right.
We'll figure out a way to make this work.
That's
I
right.
love it. I love it. Um, and so, how can folks contact you if they want to learn more, do business with you? How can they reach you?
Sure. Our website is acre-re.com. It's AICRE-re.com.
Mhm.
You can go there and pretty much find everything you need. We have contact forms. You have my information, my email address, and my telephone number. I mean, it's I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. But you can also see, like I said, the public facing application that I spoke about. There's a couple fun investor tools and resources there. We've got our current pipeline of projects, which I think it needs to be updated. So because we got more to add, but you know, you can see kind of where we've been and where we're going, kind of thing. And yeah, I think that's probably the best way. And you know, there's also we're bringing on a few more like-minded agents as
Uh-huh.
well. Um, so that kind of goes back to the piece about we're looking for investors, but we're also looking for investor-friendly agents who
Gotcha.
are kind of data nerds and like to make decisions with based on the right kind of data and resources. So yep, that's the best place to find me. Go to the website acre-re.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your story with us, your wisdom with us. Thank you for sharing your creativity with us. I love giving folks the opportunity to see how many different ways there are to be successful with real estate investing. And I'm just thrilled to know you, to get to be part of your process there. So that's super fun. Before we wrap up, I do want to remind everyone that our live lender chat virtual event will be at 4:30 Central on Thursday, April the 20th. This is 2023. I don't know how long this recording will sit out on the interwebs, but that will be next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, 4:30 Central. You can go to our website for more information and to sign up, kfpinvestorsllc.com. And our guest at our live lender chat will be Miss Carly Redzimanowski. She is
Oh,
Nashville
nice.
real estate royalty. Do you know Carly?
I do. Yeah, yeah, she's
Yeah.
great.
She is. She's so much fun. And I love her story as well. She's going to tell us how her first endeavor into investment real estate was buying a portfolio of 14 units and wholesaling 11 of them, and how she just dove right in.
That's
Uh,
diving in. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember when I was meeting her for her first deal, and I went, "You're going to do what now?" But she pulled it off, and she's amazing. She's had quite a journey, and she now continues to invest in real estate personally. I know she's formed some partnerships and has become a commercial real estate agent and started her own brokerage. So yeah, just looking forward to sharing her success story and advice with everyone. So please join us. Reach out to Jonathan, and we'll see everybody soon. Thank you so much.
This is a lot of fun. Hope to do it again soon.